The Forbidden City, officially known as the Palace Museum, is located in the center of Beijing City. It was first completed in 1420 and used to be the former imperial palace for the Ming and Qing emperors. In 1421, the third Ming emperor, Emperor Zhu Di, moved the capital from the south capital Nanking to the north capital Beijing. Since then, there were altogether 24 emperors who ruled from Beijing City, the whole China. It is rectangular in shape, 961 meters long from north to south, and 753 meters wide from east to west, surrounded with a 10-meter-high city wall and encircled by a 52-meter-wide city moat. Altogether, the 24 emperors who ruled China from here for a total 491 years. Being the best preserved imperial palace in China, the Forbidden City shows the greatest Chinese culture and civilization. From its overall layout to the smallest details, it was well planned to show and reflect the Chinese philosophy and the religious beliefs. With a total area of 72 hectares, the Forbidden City can be divided into two parts: the outer court and the inner palace. The outer court consists of three main halls in the front, namely the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the Hall of Middle Harmony, and the Hall of Preserving Harmony. It was exactly here where the emperors attended the grand ceremonies and conducted state affairs. And all of the three buildings were regarded as the ruling center of ancient China. Meanwhile, the inner palace is composed of three halls as well, namely the Hall of Heavenly Purity, the Hall of Union and Peace, and the Hall of Earthly Tranquility, flanked by 6 palaces on each side along the central axis. The inner palace was the very place where the emperors spent their private life with the imperial concubines. And that was the place where emperors generally handled daily affairs. So it was regarded as the private quarters of the royal family members. This unique layout of the Forbidden City is generally designed to the principles of a front court and rear palace, which means the front court for state affairs and the rear palace as the living quarters, following the ancient customs laid down in the Classic of Rites. Being built along the north and south central axis of Beijing, the Forbidden City has the altar of land and grain to its west, and the Supreme Ancestral Temple to its east, and the Coal Hill as the dominating hill at the back. This very design shows exactly the distinctive feature of the Chinese traditional architecture, that traditional Chinese buildings always pay particular attention to the beauty of group combination and often adopt a very central axis, symmetrical compact composition method in order to make the whole palatial complex look imposing and stately with a harmonious coexistence. In addition, talking about the outer court, after entering the Meridian Gate, there are immediately 5 marble bridges on the inner Golden Water River. The bowl-shaped inner Golden Water River functioned to drain the rainwater away and was built for fire prevention as well. In the meantime, the 5 marble bridges look like 5 arrows, reporting symbolically to heaven, and they were supposed to represent the 5 virtues preached by Confucius, namely benevolence, righteousness, propriety, intelligence, and fidelity, which are the basics of Confucius philosophy, family obligation, and good government. The Hall of Supreme Harmony in the outer court, commonly known as the Hall of Gold Throne, is the most important political center from where the emperors exercised his rule over the whole country. Being the largest palatial architecture existing in China today, it is about 30 meters high and 2,377 square meters in area, with a double-layered roof representing the highest construction rank of all. It is the largest building in the Forbidden City and also the tallest building in the old city of Beijing. In feudal China, not only people, but also buildings were in different ranks. In the old days, in order to show that the emperor held highest position, no houses in Beijing were allowed to be built higher than this one, except some churches with a spire on the top. This very design in palatial plan gave the prominence to the supremacy of imperial power and the strict obsession of hierarchy. With its name meaning all in perfect harmony, the whole of supreme harmony also echoes the social idea of great harmony advocated by Confucius, the greatest thinker, educator, and the founder of Confucianism in Chinese history. As everybody knows, it was a really painstaking job for the Chinese laboring people to build and renovate the Forbidden City in both the Ming and Qing dynasties. And there were millions of artisans and civilians involved in this massive undertaking. Among them, the most famous architect was Mr. Lei Fada and his family, commonly known as Lei the Projector. Being a native in Yongxiu County, Jiangxi Province, Mr. Lei Fada was brought up in a carpenter's family. When he was quite young, he followed his father to Nanjing City, where the beautiful palaces, temples, and gardens left a deep impression on him. When he grew up, he started his own career as a carpenter and learned hard to do the designing as well at the same time. His diligence and creativeness made him a great designer when he was only 30 years old. He was such a famous architect and designer that 10 years later, when the Qing court started a large-scale reconstruction and restoration of the Forbidden City, Mr. Lei was summoned to Beijing to take charge of the designing for the renovation of the outer court of the Forbidden City. His superb skill impressed the Qing court so deeply that he was required to stay in Beijing, dedicating himself to the construction and the renovation of the royal palaces all through his life. After his death, 8 generations of his descendants succeeded him in his career, and they were widely responsible for many other royal projects, including the Summer Palace, the Temple of Heaven, and the eastern and western Qing tombs in Hebei Province. Since all of these were the most difficult projects at the time, with the design entirely done by the Leis, the family became unofficially acknowledged authority in the craft, and was hence addressed as Lei the Designer or Lei the Projector. For many centuries, the family Lei's story has inspired several generations with their craftsman spirit. However, in the information era today, what is precisely the meaning of the craftsman spirit, and what can people learn from all walks of life from it at present? I think these are the answers. First of all, the craftsman spirit is the spirit of perfection. The craftsmen always pursue excellence and pay attention to details, and spare no time and energy to strive for the quality of their products. They always have high requirements for details, adhere to standards, meticulously, do not take chances, and never deliver goods easily. Second, it is a spirit of dedication. Craftsmen are tenaciously persisting in high-quality goods and obstinately exploring specialties. It is possible that several generations of people will pursue a product relentlessly. Patience, forbearance, and perseverance are the characteristics that all craftsmen must possess. Third, it is the innovation spirit to bring forth the new ideas. Craftsmen do not only rely on day-to-day repetition to achieve skillfulness. On the contrary, their goal is to creatively solve problems through technological integration. In this sense, the craftsman's spirit not only means keeping improving, but also represents the pursuit of innovation.